Okay, so today we shall start from page number 61. So, dear students, we saw yesterday that Mr. Lamb and Derry are not in agreement with one another insofar as their views are concerned, because Derry appears to be very much disappointed and frustrated with his present state of mind, as he has got a Barnes cheek. Therefore people are not nice to him. Therefore whatsoever philosophical talks Mr. Lamb will discuss with him, he will not agree, because he has seen the practical world. In practical world no kind of philosophy works. Okay, so that is why Terry appears to be not in agreement with Mr. Lamb, right? So Mr. Lamb says, and that's all true, and you know it. Terry says, it won't make my face change. Do you know, one day a woman went by me in the street. I was at a bus stop and she was with another woman. And she looked at me and she said, whispered, only I heard her. She said, look at that. That's a terrible thing. That's a face only a mother could love. Right? So once he was traveling in a bus and he could overhear the conversation of two women who were talking about dairy. On seeing his burned face, they were very much critical about him, and one of the women was telling the other that look at this terrible face, only a mother could love such a terrible face, nobody else. So such sort of experience, direct experience, which Derry has encountered, has made him very much pessimist about people's attitude towards him, right? So Mr. Lamb says, so you believe everything you hear then? Derry says it was very cruel. Mr. Lamb, maybe not meant as such just something said between them. Then Derry says, no, only I heard it, I heard. Mr. Lamb, and is that the only thing you ever heard anyone say in your life? Oh no, I have heard a lot of things. Derry says that I have heard a lot of things about my burned face. People overhear, I could overhear people discuss a lot of things. They make critical comments as well as they make critical statement at me. So now you keep your ears shut. Mr. Lamb is requesting Derry to keep his ears shut, because people will have a lot of things to say. He should not concentrate on this. Derry said, you are peculiar. You say peculiar things. You ask questions I don't understand. Whatever questions you ask, I do not understand such questions. So you are somebody who is peculiar to me. You are not talking in terms of what I understand, right? Mr. Lamb says, I like to talk, have company. You don't have to answer questions. You don't have to stop here at all. The gates open. Mr. Lamb says, I like to talk. I like to have company. You don't have to answer all the questions that I ask you. And if you are not interested to have interaction with me, the gates always open for you. Derry says, yes, but. Mr. Lamb says, I have a hive of bees behind those trees over there. Some hear bees and they say bees, buzz. But when you listen to bees for a long while, they hum, and hum means sing. I hear them singing, my bees. Mr. Lamb says, I'm all lonely here in my garden as well as in my residence. I only communicate, I listen to the bees, bees humming, and I hear them sing. I am flanked by all those which are available in my garden. I do not have any human companion as of now. Derry says, but I like it here. I came in because I liked it when I looked over the world. I came on my own accord. And I would like to stay back here in your company, because I like the very place here very much. If you'd seen me, you would not have come in. Mr. Lamb says, if you had seen me sitting here somewhere, you would not have come. Derry says, no. Mr. Lamb, no. Derry, it would have been trespassing. Daddy says it would have been trespassing. Trespassing means entering someone's place without prior approval or asking permission from somebody. If you enter somewhere without asking for consent or the permission, that is called trespassing. So Daddy says I would have been trespassing if I had come, by saying you sit here somewhere, here in the garden. Mr. Lamb says, that's not why. Daddy, I don't like being near people. When they stare, when I see them being afraid of me. So Daddy says, I don't like to go near people. Why? Because I don't like when they stare at me. When I see them being afraid of me, I don't. Afraid of me, I don't like that. That is why I normally avoid the company of human beings. Okay, that is what this Daddy is saying. Daddy does not seem to like the company of human beings because they stare at him. At the same time, they pass critical comments about him. They are afraid of him because he has got a burnt face. That is why Daddy prefers to stay lonely. Mr. Lamb, you could lock yourself up in a room and never leave it. There was a man who did that. Mr. Lamb has become a bit critical now, satirical about his statement. He says that in that case, if you do not like the human company, human habitat, in that case you can lock yourself up inside your room and never leave your room. And then Mr. Lamb goes on to give an anecdote or a short story about a man who was also very much critical about life, who was very much scared, and who used to keep himself shut inside his room only. He was afraid, you see, of everything in this world. A bus might run him over. He was in the opinion that a bus might run over him, or a man might breathe deadly germs onto him, or a donkey might kick him to death, or lightning might strike him down, or he might love a girl and the girl would leave him, and he might sleep on a banana skin and fall, and people who saw him would laugh their heads off. So he went into this room and locked the door and got into his bed and stayed there. Then Daddy asked, forever he stayed there? Mr. Lamb says, for a while. Then what? Mr. Lamb says, a picture fell off on the wall on to his head and killed him. And ironically enough, inside his own house, inside his own room only, a picture fell off the wall on his head and he got killed. Daddy laughs a lot. Mr. Lamb, you see. Daddy, but you still say peculiar things. Mr. Lamb, peculiar to some. Daddy asked, now what do you do all day? Mr. Lamb says, sit in the sun. I sit in the sun, I read books. You thought it was an empty house, but inside is full. Books and other things, full. So Mr. Lamb, when Daddy asked him, what do you do all the day? He says, I sit in the sun, in nature. I read books inside the house. It is not empty. Inside the house it's full of books and other things. Daddy asked, but there aren't any curtains at the windows. Mr. Lamb says, I am not fond of curtains. Shutting things out, shutting things in. I like the light and the darkness and the windows open to hear the wind. Mr. Lamb says, I like the natural air, I like the natural light, okay, and that is why I keep the windows open. There's no curtain. I would like to hear the rustling sound of the wind. That is why I keep my windows always open. Then they ask, yes, I like that. When it's raining, I like to hear it on the roof. Mr. Lamb, so you are not lost, are you? Not altogether. You do hear things, you listen. Daddy, they talk about me downstairs when I am not there. What will he ever do? What's going to happen to him when we are gone? However will he get on in this world? Looking like that, with that on his face? That's what they say. Mr. Lamb, Lord, boy, you got 2 arms, 2 legs and eyes. and ears. You've got a tongue and a brain. You will get on the way you want, like all the rest. And if you choose and set your mind to it, you could get on better than all the rest. Mr. Lamb is trying to inspire, motivate Daily now, saying that you've got two arms, you've got two legs, you've got eyes, ears, everything working perfectly fine. You've got a tongue, you've got a brain, everything. Then why do you always focus on your face? Do not focus on your face. You have other organs perfectly working. So you concentrate on improving yourself. Concentrate on some other things that will give you some inspiration to do. And if you choose and set your mind to it, you could get on better than all the rest. How? Now Daddy is asking, how can I do that? Same way as I do. Do you have any friends? Daddy is asking. Mr. Lamb says hundreds. But you live by yourself in that house. It's a big house too. Mr. Lamb says, friends everywhere. People come in, everybody knows me. The gates always open. They come and sit here and in front of the fire in winter. Kids come for the apples and pears and for toffee. I make toffee with honey. Anybody comes, so have you. Okay, there are a lot of people who keep coming. My gate is always open. So I have a lot of friends. Okay, anybody comes, and so you have also come. But Daddy says, but I am not a friend. Mr. Lamb says, certainly you are. You are also one of my good friends. So far as I am concerned, what have you done to make me think you are not? Okay, you are, of course, one of my good friends. Daddy says, you don't know me, you don't know where I come from or even what my name is. Mr. Lamb says, why should that signify? Do I have to write all your particulars down and put them in a filing box before you can be friend? I suppose not, no. Mr. Lamb says, you could tell me your name if you chose and not if you didn't. You can tell me if you like to share your name with me, you are most welcome, otherwise it's okay. Daddy says, Daddy only is Derek, but I hate that. Daddy, if I'm your friend, you don't have to be mine. I chose that. So, what does Daddy mean by that? Daddy says that if I'm your friend, you don't have to be mine. Okay, I chose that. It's not necessary that you reciprocate my friendship. Okay, but if I consider you friend, it's not necessary that you to show in reciprocation your friendship to me. I chose that. I chose that. Dr. Mr. Lamb, certainly. I might never come here again. You might never see me again, and then I couldn't still be a friend, right? So Daddy says, I might never come once again here, and then I couldn't still be a friend. Mr. Lamb says, why not? How could I? You pass people in the street and you might even speak to them, but you never see them again. It doesn't mean they are friends. Okay, so Master Derry's definition of friendship is very different. He says that so many people pass by, you meet them, you have conversation with them, but that doesn't mean that they are your friends. Okay. Mr. Lamb, doesn't mean they are enemies either, does it? Daddy says, no, they are just nothing people, that's all. People are never just nothing, never. Daddy says, there are some people I hate that would do you more harm than any bottle of acid. Acid only burns your face. Mr. Lamb says that do not have prejudice against any person because that will eat you out from inside and that will do you more harm than any bottle of acid. Acid only burns your face, but enmity or hatred for people will burn you from inside. So that is more deadly. So do not have any prejudice or dislike or hatred for any human being. Daddy says only. Mr. Lamb, like a bomb, only blew up my leg. There's worse things can happen. You can burn yourself away inside. Mr. Lamb says that you see like a bomb blew up my leg. Okay, I become handicapped, and acid burnt your face. But consider once worse things can also happen. You can burn yourself away inside. So if you burn yourself away inside, in that case you shall not find any mental peace, any satisfaction. So that will cause you more harm. That is why you do not concentrate on the superficial aspect of your face. Okay, you concentrate on something larger. That is what he means to say. Devi says, and I'd come home. One person said he would have been better off stopping in there. In the hospital, he would be better off with others like himself. She thinks blind people only ought to be with other blind people and idiot boys with idiot boys. Mr. Lamb says, and people with no legs altogether. That's right. What kind of a world would that be? Derry says, at least there would be nobody to stare at you because you weren't like them. Okay, so Derry thinks that at least people, like if you are with the like-minded, if you are with people having similar, deformity, a deformity, in that case what will happen? In that case, at least they will not stare at you because you were like them only. But if you are not like them, if you are with somebody who is physically absolutely perfect, in that case you shall get more and more stare from people. So that is why Derry says that if you are in the company of some people having similar physical deformities like you, in that case you are at least safe from being gazed by the people, right? So Mr. Lamb now says, so you think you are just the same as all the other people with burned faces? Just by what? Mr. Lamb says, so you think you are just the same as all the other people with burned faces? Just by what you look like? Ah, everything's different. Everything's the same, but everything is different itself. How do you make all that out? Watching, listening, thinking. Derry then says, I would like a place like this, a garden. I would like a house with no curtains. Mr. Lamb says the gate's always open. But this isn't mine. Mr. Lamb, everything's yours if you want it. What's mine is anybody's. Okay? As I have nobody else to live with, I'm alone, so everybody else is my friend. So if you think it is your garden, it is your house, everything will be yours if you want it. Okay, like it is your thought, actually it's your thought process. If you'd like to consider that everything, whatever you see around is yours, it will be yours only. Derry says, so I could come here again even if you were out. I could come here. Mr. Lamb says, certainly, you might find others here, of course. Oh, Mr. Lamb, well, that needn't stop you. You needn't mind. Derry, it would stop them. They would mind me. When they saw me here, they look at my face and run. Well, that needn't stop you. You needn't mind. Derry, it would stop them. They would mind me. When they saw me here, they look at my face and run. Once again, when people will see me here, they will make a lot of gossip, they'll make critical judgments, as well as they will stare at me, and then they will be scared of me, and then they'll be running away. Mr. Lamb, they might not. You'd have to take the risk. They might they might not stare at you, they might be afraid of you, they might not be afraid. You'd have to take the risk. So would they? Terry, no, you would. You might have me and lose all your other friends because nobody wants to stay near me if they can help it. So Terry is still pessimist, actually. Terry is still pessimist. He's saying, you might have me and lose all your other friends because if you make friendship with me, all your friends will ditch your company because they would not like to see you in my company. Mr. Lamb, I have not moved. Daddy, no. When I go down the street, the kids shout Lemmy Lamb. Okay? The kids also ridicule me by saying Lemmy Lamb, as I am lame person, so they call me Lemmy Lamb. But they still come into the garden, into my house. It's a game. They are not afraid of me. What? Why should they be? Because I am not afraid of them. That's why not. Did you get your leg blown off in the war? Certainly. Mr. Lamb replies, certainly. I got my leg blown off in the war. Daddy says, how will you climb on a ladder and get the crab apples down then? Oh, there's a lot of things I have learned to do, and plenty of times for it. Years, I take it steady. Then Daddy says, if you fell and broke your neck, you could lie on the grass and die if you were on your own. Daddy says, if you climb onto the ladder on your own as you are a lame person, then you might die. You might die. Mr. Lamb says, I could. Daddy, you said I could help you if you want to. If you want to help me, you can certainly help me in climbing the ladder to climbing the ladder. But my mother will want to know where I am. It's 3 miles home across the fields. I am 14, but they still want to know where I am. When Mr. Lamb says, people worry. Daddy says, people fuss. Mr. Lamb, go back and tell them. It's 3 miles, Mr. Lamb. It's a fine evening. You've got legs. Once I got home, they would never let me come back. Mr. Lamb says, once you get home, you never let yourself come back. Daddy says, you don't know what I could do. Mr. Lamb, no, only you know that. Daddy says, if I choose, I'll certainly come down to you. Mr. Lamb, if you chose, I don't know everything, boy. I can't tell you what to do. Daddy says, they tell me. Mr. Lamb, do you have to agree? I don't know what I want. I want something no one else has got or ever will have. Something just mine, like this garden. I don't know what it is. You could find out how. Waiting, watching, listening, sitting here or going there. I'll have to see to the bees. Right? Then Daddy says, those other people who come here, do they talk to you? Ask you things? Mr. Lamb, some do, some don't. I ask them, I like to learn. Daddy says, I don't believe in them. I don't think anybody ever comes. You are here all by yourself and miserable, and no one would know if you were alive or dead, and nobody cares. Mr. Lamb says, you think what you please. Daddy, alright then, tell me some of their names. Mr. Lamb, what are names? Tom, Dick or Harry? Getting up, I'm off down to the bees. Daddy, I think you are daft, crazy. Mr. Lamb, that's a good excuse. Mr. Lamb says, that's a good excuse. What for? You don't talk sense. Mr. Lamb, good excuse not to come back. And you've got a burned up face, and that's other people's excuse. You are like the others. You like to say things like that. If you don't feel sorry for my face, you are frightened of it. And if you are not frightened, you think I am ugly as a devil. I am a devil, don't you? Shouts. Mr. Lamb does not reply. He has gone to his bees. Quietly, no, you don't. I like it here. Daddy seems to have developed interest in spending his time with Mr. Lamb. That is why he doesn't want to go back to his home. That is why he says, I like it here. Somehow, Mr. Lamb was able to inspire Daddy. For this reason, Daddy doesn't want to go elsewhere. But Daddy says, I am going, but I'll come back, you see. You wait. I can run. I haven't got a tin leg. I'll be back. Daddy runs off. Silence. The sounds of the garden again. So, what happens here, you can see, Daddy has left Mr. Lamb's garden, because Mr. Lamb appears to be a bit busy now. He has to mind the crab apples. So he has gone to mind his apples. In the meantime, Derry has also decided to go home for some time, but Derry assures Mr. Lamb that he will be back. He will be back anytime soon, right? Mr. Lamb to himself, they are my dears, that's you seen too. Ah, you know, we all know I'll come back. They never do, though, not them, never do come back. The garden noises fade. Mr. Lamb says that people say that they come back to my garden, but they do not come once again. Now, scene to Derry's house. Mother, you think I don't know about him? You think I haven't heard things? Derry, you shouldn't believe all you hear. Mother, being told, warned, we have not lived here 3 months, but I know what there is to know, and you are not to go back there. What are you afraid of? What do you think he is? An old man with a tin leg, and he lives in a huge house without curtains and has a garden, and I want to be there and sit and listen to things, listen and look. Now Derry is in conversation with his mother back home. So Derry is justifying the fact that he needs to be going once again to Mr. Lamb's garden, because might be he is an old man with a tin leg, but he has a garden, he has a big house, and Derry loves his company. More importantly, Derry loves his company. That is why Derry wants to be there, sit there, listen to things, and learn many things, get inspired from Mr. Lamb. Mother, listen to what? Be singing, him talking. And what's he got to say to you? Things that matter, things nobody else has ever said, things I want to think about. So when his mother asks him, like, what is he got to do, got to say to you? What is he likely to tell you? Derry says, things that matter, things nobody else has ever told me so far, things that I want to think upon or think about. This is what he tells me. Okay, that things that nobody has told me yet. It means that Derry has become absolutely influenced by the conversation, by the company, by the conversation, by the talks of Mr. Lamb. Mother, then you stay here and do your thinking. You are best off here. Derry, I hate it here. Mother, you can't help the things you say. I forgive you. It's bound to make you feel bad things and say them. I don't blame you. Derry says, it's got nothing to do with my face and what I look like. I don't care about that, and it isn't important. It's what I think and feel and what I want to see and find out and hear. And I'm going back there only to help him with the crab apples, only to look at things and listen, but I'm going. Mother says, you will stop here. Derry says, oh no, because if I don't go back there, I will never go anywhere in this world again. It means Derry needs to go there to Mr. Lamb's house once again. The door slams, Derry runs panting, and I want the world, I want it. The sound of his panting fades as he proceeds towards the house of Mr. Lamb. He likes the company of Mr. Lamb. He is so very much influenced by the company of Mr. Lamb. So let's see what happens after he reaches there. You see, dear students, Mr. Lamb's garden sounds, the noise of a branch shifting, apples thumping down, the branch shifting again. Mr. Lamb, steady, that's got it, that's it. More apples fall, and again, that's it. And a creak, a crash, the ladder falls back, Mr. Lamb with it. So Mr. Lamb's ladder falls back with Mr. Lamb on it. The branch switches back, creaks, then silence. Derry opens the garden gate, still panting. Derry says, you see, I came back, you said. I wouldn't. And they said, but I came back. I wanted. He stops, Dad, silence. Mr. Lamb, Mister, you have. He runs through the grass, stops, kneels. Mr. Lamb, it's all right. You fell, I'm here. Mr. Lamb, it's all right. Silence. Because he kept coming, he kept crying, I came back, lammy lamb, I did come back. Daddy begins to weep. Why Daddy begins to weep? Because Mr. Lamb did not respond to his shouting, to his cry, to his what is that called? Appeal. Mr. Lamb fell down the ladder and he died. So, can you imagine the mental condition of Mr. Derek now? He might be feeling so very much distressed now. Now that so Mr. Derek would be left without any company. Mr. Derek might be feeling so depressed, so disheartened now that he is his friend Mr. Lamb is no longer there with him. So can you imagine how unfortunate is the ending when Master Derek was about to see life in new perspective, when he was about to get inspiration to live life. At that time, he has lost his friend. Now, where will Master Derek turn to? How will he live his life? Okay, he will again go back to frustration, disappointment, because Mr. Lamb is no longer with him to give him consolation, to counsel him, to give inspiration. So the end is very, very tragic. Very, very tragic, dear students. Okay, so this is how the story comes to an end. Okay, dear students, that's it for the day. Let me wind up now.